Hello, Mustafa Ben Salah.
Good morning, everybody.
What happened with Moose said he had a story of his ride in, which, by the way, Moose, every time we go to record this podcast, right, I give Moose a time to arrive.
Oh, no.
And it's been enough now that you should notice the pattern. Life is about patterns, Moose, okay? Once you do pattern recognition, everything, in relationships, at work, in different avenues of life, it gets a lot easier. That's how people make money. Finance people, they recognize patterns. I'm not in that industry, but if I was, I'd look for the patterns. When I was younger in school, I always tell people this story about how I'm only talking about, up through high school, graduated high school, but it probably would have been the same in college. At some point in school, I recognized the pattern of studying. Like I wasn't one of those big hardcore studiers, because one day I just came in and I remember I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. I know what's going to happen here. In whatever subject it was, name the subject, they're just going to give me stuff that I need to retain for a week or two. Then they're going to give me a test. I have to just regurgitate the nonsense that I retained for the last week, and then I could let it leak out my brain and start the process all over again. And I crushed it in school. I don't remember anything now because I let it leak out of my brain, but I realized the pattern of learning. So, back to you. For over a month now.
Okay.
Every time.
I wouldn't say that. All right.
Every time. Don't maybe go back in the text messages and look. Over a month now, Moose will be, if I tell him to arrive, we record after the morning show. Sometimes 10:30, sometimes 11:30, sometimes noon, whatever. Let's say if I told Moose to arrive at 10:30, he'll hit me up right before 10:30 and go, oh, this exit, the traffic at this exit, I'll be there a little bit late. All right, cool, no problem. The next week. Oh, this same exit, the cars here. Oh, I'll be there a little bit late. All right, no problem. It will get to the point where the pattern was you just writing like this exit again, expecting me to know what it was that was making you late. And you did that again this time. So I wrote back to you, why don't you, if you know that's going to happen,
plan ahead.
Plan ahead.
Yeah.
Recognize the pattern.
And you're right.
Yes, yes, I am.
No, you are absolutely right.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
So
you're absolutely right.
So what happened on the way in, Moose?
That damn exit. I'm telling you, it really is. I swear to God. But you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't have anything to say.
Exactly.
I have nothing to say.
But what's your story?
Sorry. I was like, I got put in I had like the diva light right on me. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. No, you're right though. It's distasteful to be late. I feel so embarrassed right now. No, anyway, well, the icing on the cake of me being late, once again, which to put into preference, I think being late is bad, but it's like 5 minutes. I'm not 30 minutes late, but nonetheless. I gotta be careful, right? I can't say if you do something with a brand and it's not out yet, you probably shouldn't say the brand name, right?
Is it like, is it a brand that people know?
Yeah, it's the thing I told you about last week, so I shouldn't say what it is.
No, you could say what it is.
Are you sure?
I think if it was a company that was just starting out and no one knew, it would be maybe like they don't want anyone to know this big thing. But if it's like
really,
I mean,
I'm gonna steer on the edge of caution. I'm gonna see how this is
maybe
going.
Describe the brand. You don't say the name.
Okay.
You don't want to.
So recently, I've got a really cool opportunity. I got to do a commercial with this really cool brand last week. And I normally don't like do commercial stuff. You know what I mean? I guess I never really saw myself doing commercial stuff.
You're more of a Hollywood guy?
I don't want to be used for my dashing good looks, just my brain.
Can I just say, before you continue, there was a time on TV where movie stars looked down on TV stars.
Yeah,
they literally they were like, oh, this, like if it was a TV person going to do a movie, the movie star would be like, oh, that person is just a TV star. They don't know what movies are like.
And nowadays.
Yeah. Or they would turn down making cameos on TV shows because That's just a TV show.
That's very egotistical.
It's not. It is, because if you look at it now, you got people who they'll do a Netflix series, they'll do a movie, they'll do a whole bunch of different acting. Is freaking acting.
Yeah, that's dumb. But
anyway,
that's not. Yeah, no, that's not what I was trying to say. Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, because to me, like, you get like models or people who do commercials and they know that kind of vibe. Like, I just never did that. Anyways, so I got this really cool opportunity, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, sure, why not? Had a little bit of like imposter syndrome here, but I was like, whatever. So we shoot last week, and I had to leave immediately when we were done. Like, literally, I was like, as normally our episodes are like an hour 20, like anywhere falls into. This one was an hour 45.
Yeah.
As it kept going, I kept looking down at and I didn't know how to, like, I didn't have enough time to tell you before because I was late because of the exit. I didn't have enough time to tell you before, hey, I have to leave right after. I have a cool thing to do. So as soon as we were done, I was like, Ramiro, I have work. He goes, okay. And I was like, no, not that work. I have like this. And he's like, oh, okay, leave. Like, go. So anyways, I rush over there. I get there right on time and stuff. We do the fitting, and I'm like, whatever. I'm a little like high on like adrenaline. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, you know, and the premise of the commercial is we had to be football players. And, you know, I'm familiar with this. Like, I played as a kid. Like, I played sports. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, all right. Like, I can do this. Like, even if I'm not the best, I can play the part. So I get fitted. I met the director and one of the PAs, and they were so nice. So I'm just sitting down in a chair after I got fitted, and then the makeup lady comes in, and she's just like, oh, we're gonna do your makeup. I don't have hair, so didn't do hair. There's a lot of just waiting around. I met the other people I was doing the commercial with, and they're all models or like commercial actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like just being myself, whatever. I thought everything went great.
Okay.
I thought everything went great. At the end of the day, I was like, that was easy. I could do that for another like 6 hours. And we were shooting for maybe like 3 or 4. As I'm sitting in the exit today, back-to-back traffic, I get a phone call, and I thought it was him. I thought it was Ramiro. I was like, oh, he's going to be like, where are you? So my heart immediately fell down to my stomach, and I don't recognize the phone number. So I picked up and I answered, and it was it was one of the PAs from this commercial. It wasn't the one I worked with. It was just someone else, and they like introduced themselves like, oh, hi, it's me. I'm so-and-so from this brand, yada, yada, yada. I thought they were calling me to tell me like it was so good. You know, it's coming out next week and everything. And they basically said, they were like, you know, we were watching back the footage, and, you know, there was nothing wrong with your line delivery or how you looked or anything. They were like, but the director had a certain vision for this, and he just thinks you kind of like took it too realistic. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she was like, you know, he wanted like, you know, like commercial model football players. He, you know, like there were some shots we got of you, and you were really like red in the face, and you were like really into it. And I'm like trying to remember, because like we weren't even on camera, that you couldn't even see my face. I had a helmet on. I was like, so I'm trying to think like, what are you talking about? I was like my face.
Even though we couldn't see your face, we didn't like your face.
Exactly. So I'm like trying, as she's saying, she's being very nice. Like the way she wasn't being a jerk.
Yeah.
She was being very nice. She basically just told me, you know, like they had certain, like they wanted like a shot of like, you know, like a long pass and then like a dramatic catch, and like I guess what I did was a bit too real.
Yeah.
For them.
Too gritty.
So then I just asked, 'cause I was silent the whole time, and I was like, well, is there something specific that he didn't like that I did? And she goes, yeah, when we did the 30-yard pass, she's like, you really. So we filmed inside of a dome. You know, in Foxborough, not you know,
like
there's
the Patriots
Gillette
practice.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what it's called. I think the Revs practice there too.
Okay.
It's like that side.
Yeah,
field, the one that's
I think they call it the dome or something like that.
Yeah, so that's where we shot it.
Okay.
She goes, yeah, when we did the 30-yard pass and you were supposed to tackle the guy catching the touchdown, she goes, you know, we told you wrap your arms around his waist and then stop. She goes, every take you did, you tackled him on the ground.
You were tackling him for real?
Yeah. Not like for, okay, I think he thought it was. I'm not trying to talk bad about it, but like some of like it was just a bit, they were just a little too like, I'm like, we're playing football. Like, you know what I mean? And then, so I said, okay. I was like, are we going to redo it then? And she goes, we don't know. She goes, you're still going to get paid for everything in your time and all that. She goes, he's not mad or anything, but like we did have some critiques. She's like, we really like you. We want you back for future stuff, but we're going to give you an update. We might be able to reshoot this and we'll give you a call.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay, great.
Rejection.
And I just was like, I'm getting paid regardless, like whether they use it or not. But like, they said play football.
Yeah.
I played football. What's the problem? That's what I mean. They wanted like model football. Like they wanted like drama. Like I don't know what they wanted.
Yeah,
And your face was right. I'm like, you couldn't see my face. Like. I was like, what are you talking about? My face was wrong. Unless they were doing zoom-ins that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I don't know.
Explain. So would they actually have a quarterback throw 30 yards and you ran the guy down and hit him? Or was it like him running with the football and you hitting him close up, making it look like the guy threw it? Did they do the entire actual pass scene?
No.
Or?
So there was like the camera guy, and then the director behind him, and then like, I don't know who this guy was, but he looked like a real football player. So they would yell action. And well, first they did a shot of the model actor guy throwing the ball, but he just did like a toss.
Yeah. And
then they reset, and then they said action. And they actually got someone who could like launch a football,
right,
do it for that shot. And then, they would cut and then reset. Yeah. And then they would do like another like rainbow pass to the guy I tackled, and he caught the ball. So it looked like,
Yeah.
And yeah, the director said tackle him.
Right.
The PA did tell me wrap your arms around his waist, and then when they yell cut, that's where you stop. But the director's like, he was like tackle. So I tackled.
Yeah.
The kid I tackled didn't say no. Every time I was like, yo, you good? And like I picked him up. I was like, was that too hard? I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean? We were laughing about it. There wasn't an issue. Like, I thought everything was great. We were all talking after. They were giving me tips. They were like, oh, yeah, you should do this and do that. Like, I had a great time.
Wow. You ruined the commercial.
I guess, apparently. But, I mean, everyone was having a fun time, so I don't know. I mean.
Now they're going to go over budget because you were trying too hard.
I know. It was crazy because I didn't feel like I was a tryhard. Like, I just took his direction.
Yeah.
But he wanted like sexy model football, and I wasn't giving him that. I was giving him realistic.
I'm trying to understand what sexy model football is.
I don't know, but like
it's. I don't understand that world. I've done one. It wasn't even a commercial. It was like a PSA, but it was just like me walking. It was like a drug thing. It was just like me walking towards a camera or whatever. But it didn't involve other people. But I've auditioned for a bunch of stuff, and I suck at it.
Yeah.
Suck. This is how much I suck at auditioning. I'm not good at auditioning. I need to really learn, if I wanted to pursue that, how to read a script and interpret it using those words. I'm more of an ad-libber, like I'm more of a, okay, what's the scene? Okay.
Like improv. Like you just,
yeah. So this is how bad of an auditioner I am. There was a Kevin James movie where, I always forget the name of the movie.
Here Comes the Boom.
Here Comes the Boom. Did I tell you the story before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me recap the story real quick. Here Comes the Boom. Kevin James, he's like a teacher, and he becomes an MMA fighter to raise money for a school or whatever. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Didn't they film at your old school?
I don't think they filmed that one at Everett High.
Yeah, the old one. Yeah, they did. They filmed it at the old Everett High.
Oh, okay. I know because I know they filmed.
Scenes.
I know they filmed. They were looking for a UFC ring announcer. At the time that this movie came out, Bruce Buffer was the UFC ring announcer. Nobody else besides Bruce Buffer was an announcer for the UFC except one guy. Bruce Buffer and one other person were actual announcers for UFC events, UFC pay-per-views even. That other person was me. I did two besides Bruce Buffer because when the UFC was first starting out and they came to this area, they were just looking to promote it or whatever. So Dana White let me be ring announcer for a couple of pay-per-views. You could look him up. One, I announced Jorge Rivera. Who did he fight? He beat Dennis Hallman, I believe it was. And the other one was Eve Edwards, who won against, I forget who. Anyway, I was the actual announcer for the UFC pay-per-views for that. So I go to the audition, and they do like a million auditions. I go to the audition. I got through to like the fourth one. The one which I think was the legit one. I walk in for that audition, and there was just a line of dudes dressed up in tuxedos they looked like ring announcers. I walked in wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers, and as soon as I walked in, I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm done. It's a wrap. I walk in, and it's very, like you're saying that girl was being nice to you. Every experience I've had, they've been very. I won't say that they haven't been nice. I'll just say that they're very straightforward.
They're nice when you get the part.
Yeah. See, I didn't get it. They were very straightforward with me, where they're like, they know exactly what they're looking for, and if you're not what they're looking for, they'll tell you you're not what they're looking for, and they'll tell you why you're not what they're looking for. And if you get hurt feelings, then it's easy to get your feelings hurt. So the lady, as soon as I walk in. I was probably like 3 or 4 guys went before me. As soon as I walk in, she looked and she was like, "What are you here for?" And I said, "For the ring announcer thing." And she goes, "What do you do?" And then I felt like we were like debating or something, and I had to like prove why I could audition. And I was like, because I go, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm on the radio, but I've done this." And she goes, "You've done what?" I go, "I've done ring announcing." She said, "For what?" I go, "For the UFC." I go, "I literally have done ring announcing for the UFC. Can I just do it?" And she like kind of gave me like a half-ass, yeah, go ahead. I did it, but the second I did it, I was like, I'm not gonna get this fucking part.
Yeah.
I think actually Bruce Buffer ended up doing it. But anyway, I remember I called a buddy of mine who did a lot of commercials and stuff, and he was like, dude, it gets to the point where they're just like, we want somebody this tall, we want this nationality, we want your voice might be too deep or not deep enough, you might have a red face and a helmet and try too hard for a football commercial. I was like, yo, I don't understand this game. And that's why, like, I don't think since then I've never really auditioned. Oh, another time, did I ever tell you what was the name of the dog? It was a PBS show where
Clifford?
What?
Clifford?
No, not that dog. It was a dog that like the dog was animated, but it was real kids. It was kind of like a combination of like
I didn't watch PBS.
I don't remember the show either. I was an adult at the time. But there was this new show they were doing, and somebody from PBS called me out of the blue, and they said, "Hey, we want you to come in and try something." They didn't even like really say it was an audition. So I went in, not knowing what it was. I walk in, giant conference table of people, and I'm thinking that we're just gonna like BS and they're gonna talk to me about the show. No, that was the audition. So I go in and they were like, "All right, cool." And they passed me a paper and it had like lines on it. And I said, "All right, what do you want me to do?" And they said, "Read those lines." So I read the lines and they said, "No, read it like you're a dog." Read it like I'm a dog. So, all right, kids, we're gonna like. I didn't understand. I didn't know what the show. They didn't
channeled your Scooby Doo.
Yeah, they didn't explain to me like what it was about. And they were like, no, like, like pretend that there's kids in front of you and you're a dog and you're putting them through math whatever it was. I forget. So I did it. Fucking bombed. Had no idea what it was. It came out a couple months later and it was, what the hell was the name of the show? It was like an actual show. And I'm like, yo, why didn't they like show me what the dog is? Show me like a little clip of like what the scene would look like. PBS show with cartoon.
Wishbone?
No, I'll know it if I hear
Rough
it.
Ruffman?
Rough Ruffman.
Yeah.
Rough Ruffman. That's what I auditioned for. Rough Ruffman. This guy. Yeah. That's what I could have been Rough Ruffman.
Hey.
But they didn't. They literally just said, talk to this like you're a dog. So,
yeah.
And I think in the show, let me see if this can you hit play? I don't know. You might not be able to hear it. I was gonna say because I think he talks like a normal human being.
Imagine.
No, yeah, I think
they have his normal voice.
Yeah, Ruffman. Hold on. Fetch with Rough Ruffman. This is the theme songs. Hold on. Here we go. Rough Ruffman show.
Is that him?
Yes. It's just a normal thing. If I knew what it was,
you would have just
I would have done it in my voice, and I just needed a little more direction. Anyway, acting not my thing.
I've had some crazy. We won't even have enough time. The things that I've been told in audition rooms, like
negative feedback.
I started auditioning for stuff when I was like 13.
Yeah, and even as little kids, they tell you.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's always when you don't care. Not when you don't care. That's a bad choice of words. It's always when you walk in where you're like, whatever. That's when you do good.
Yeah.
But when you're like prepared or you're whatever, it's your script. I have a sort of success story. It's funny. I can tell you. I had this one audition, and first one was just like a self-tape, and then second one was a Zoom callback. This was 4. A third one was a phone call where we talked.
For a commercial?
No, for a movie.
Oh, okay.
And then the fourth one, they flew me out to New York.
Oh.
And so at that point, I'm like, I got it. I was like, I got it. You know, like the cockiness starts to kick in. I'm like, they're flying me to New York. Like, I got it. No, I walk in. I'm the first one there. So the director loved that. He was like, so I wasn't 5 minutes late because of the exit. I was the first one there. And there's like 8 other guys. None of them look like, we all don't look like each other. There's a black guy, there's me, a short guy, Asian guy, whatever. Like, we all look different.
And what age group?
20s to 20s.
Oh, okay,
20s.
so it was recent.
Yeah, this is like a couple years ago. This is two years ago now. So at first, I'm like, they all must be here for something different, because normally when you go and like you saw either everyone looks alike or you saw everyone was in the tuxedo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't make sense at first, but I was like, all right, whatever. So like I got no direction. Normally you get some sides or whatever, especially if it's at the end, you get time to prepare a little bit. You kind of already know what you're gonna do, but every time I got sides, it was for a different role. It was so weird. Anyway, so we get to the last one, and whatever, I'm waiting in the hall, and then one of the PAs come up to me and he's just like, hey, you're on next. Are you all good with your sides? And I went, I didn't get any sides. He goes, you didn't get any sides? And I was like, no. He's like, no one ever emailed you sides? I said, no. And he's like, okay, hold on. Like, I'll be right back. So he goes, so I immediately start panicking. I'm like, oh no. And like, I'm in New York City. I can tell some of these guys are like
seasoned professionals.
Like, just, they were taking it very serious. And I'm like, la-di-da-di-da.
Yeah.
And then he comes back. And this kid was French. He comes back. He's like, oh, you have 2 minutes if you want to read over. And then we go inside. I'm like, 2 minutes? So he shows me, and I'm just like absorbing as much as I can. And I go in the room, and the director's like, you can hold on to the paper if you want. It's fine. He goes, I'm so sorry. I don't know why someone didn't email you XYZ. Like, you should have gotten it and stuff. And I was like, all right. So I did it. And I obviously looked down at the paper a lot. And I think he didn't care because he knew. But then whatever, I do the thing, and then he goes, okay, go back and sit in the hallway. And I'm like, I just bombed it. I should just leave. I was so embarrassed. Then he calls everyone in, like 8 of us. And he goes, we're going to do something different. He goes, we're going to do something really different. He's like, we're going to do a scene together. We're going to do pretend you're back in acting class. We're going to do a workshop, okay? So everyone like let loose and automatically I'm like, I'm like, no. Like, he's already messing with my brain. Long story short, he made us do improv, like you're just saying.
Yeah.
He gave us a scenario. He said, we're all in the military together. We're like a squadron. This is your captain. He's going to go down the line and introduce yourself. I was the second to last one. So everyone's doing your generic, like, whatever. And he gets to me. I'm like, Moose be different. He comes up to me. I don't know who possessed my body. I swear I black out in these moments. He comes up to me and he's like, Sergeant. And I go, sir, yes, sir. And like this high-pitched voice. The director lost it. He started dying laughing, cracking up. Long story short, he said he didn't send me sides. He didn't send anyone sides on purpose, because he wanted to see how everyone did under pressure.
Oh.
And then he put everyone in a room because he knew people were going to try and come like all, macho actor. And then he wanted to throw everyone off their game.
Yeah.
And he literally said in front of everybody, he's like, this kid, this is what exactly you need to do in these situations. Be the most bizarre you can. And I was like, I wasn't trying to be bizarre. I don't know what happened. Sad. It ends kind of sad. And it didn't end up happening because of COVID the writer's strike.
Yeah.
And everything, but it was just a really cool experience. But like, that was a good one. To wrap up this topic, I mean, I just think it's really funny how some people have the nerve though to really like It's really sticking to. I've been told I'm too. I've been told I'm too much. I've been told I'm not enough. I've been told I'm too fat. I've been told I'm not fat enough.
Yeah.
I've been told some crazy things. And I did theater too as a kid. So like that really drills in your mind rejection and judgment and how people perceive you. But then also there's another beautiful side of it. It gives you that time to really understand how your brain and mind works. You're like, that comment really gets me. Oh, that I don't care what that person says because I know that's not true. You know what I mean? It's a weird psychological warfare they play.
What was the movie?
I don't know if I can say it. Can I? If it didn't happen?
Yeah, it didn't. If it didn't happen.
If it didn't happen?
Yeah.
I don't want to get in like any like legal trouble.
No, what was it?
They were rebooting Back to the Future.
No shit.
Yeah.
So, but it never came out.
Never came out.
Oh, okay.
And Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox were like signed to it and everything. Yeah.
A couple of years ago?
2 years ago.
I wonder how they would have done Michael J. Fox because he's
Yeah, he has Parkinson's. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Andrew Garfield was attached to it. I think he was like the lead. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what I remember. But then it all fell. I think so. They said because of the writer's strike, the budget fell through. I don't think that was it.
Yeah.
I think the concept was really.
I mean, that's an iconic movie,
was,
so you got to.
I know, but
you can't.
The script was so bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't mess it up.
Yeah.
You gotta nail it.
I was like reading it after I got it, and I just was like, "This is." I'm actually really happy it didn't happen.
Do you remember what was the what is centered around? Like,
basically, this. I'm assuming it was Andrew Garfield, but I don't know. He was Doc's great grandson or like whatever, and his whole life was determined to recreate the flux capacitor. And because have you seen all of them?
yeah,
You know how in the third one it gets destroyed?
mm-hmm.
His whole goal was to recreate it. I'm like, but when did Doc even have kids? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. So already right off the bat, I was like, huh? But
I know he had a girlfriend or something in the Western.
yeah,
one.
in the third one. But like,
so
I just didn't make sense. I'm like, you're great. It was either his grandson or great grandson. I forget. Basically, his whole goal was to recreate the flux capacitor, and he was like a science professor, and 3 of his students were all geniuses, and I was supposed to be like one of the students, and then like we snuck into the lab late at night one night to go like we had our own project, but then we stumbled upon his flux capacitor stuff, ended up toying around with it, got it to work. He comes in, the machine freaks out, we all get sucked back into time.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they were going to integrate everything else from I only read up to Act 3 because then a month later, that's when we got the word of everything. Not even a month later, yeah, like a month and a half later. But yeah, it was very. I just was like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense.
I would have crapped on the legacy. Part 3 was
Yeah.
bad enough. I wasn't a big fan of Part 3.
Yeah, and they don't tell you what it is until you get it. Like I had no idea the entire time what I was even reading for.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in this day and age, people are just worried about people running their mouths and spoiling
I had
things.
to sign a whole like NDA and like it
Yeah.
expired now, but like I had to sign a whole NDA like after I got it. They had like watermarked the script. When you access the script online, it's like timestamps of when you opened it and where you were when you opened it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like it was very like legit. But yeah. Glad it didn't happen. I know, seriously, not
You
even
could
me
have been
not
in a failed movie.
me not even being in it. No, I'm not. I swear to God, not even that. Even just as a fan, I have a Back to the Future poster in my room. Like I'm glad they didn't. That's not. We don't need a reboot of that. You know what I mean? Like leave that alone.
There are some movies that you shouldn't touch.
Exactly.
I think that one. It's crazy that the Back to the Future, like when they went into the future, it was like 2016.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
And we're in 2024 now. If you
Yeah.
want to feel old, think about that. So it's funny. I had a martial arts instructor. He told me a story one time. He was like, because he did martial arts growing up. He actually had a lot of cool stories. He did bodyguarding. He did. He saw that dude. You probably don't even remember the name Billy Blanks. You know Ty Bo? You ever heard of Ty Bo?
Yeah, like the Billy Blanks workouts.
Yeah. So that makes Billy Blanks look kind of goofy. Apparently, he was a badass fighter. Because my instructor would be like, I'd go to tournaments and Billy Blanks would be there and dominate everybody. But then, he realized he could make money doing the Ty Bo stuff. But anyway, so He said a story of one time he's like, there was an audition for this random martial arts movie. They didn't tell him what it was or anything like that. He said he went in, read the stuff. I think he made it through a couple of auditions because he had a good, like he got a good amount of the script, and he didn't get it or whatever. And he's like probably like a year later or something. He's like, I went to the movies with my girlfriend and we sit down to watch this movie. He goes and he's sitting there. He goes and all of a sudden I start reciting all the lines in the movie. And he said the girl was like, have you seen this before? He goes, I swear to God, I've never seen this movie in my life. And it's an old movie. It's an old classic like B martial arts movie called The Last Dragon.
I love The Last Dragon.
Yeah.
Bruce Leroy.
Leroy. So that's the movie that he auditioned for. He didn't realize that
He was auditioning for Bruce Leroy?
And it wasn't Bruce Leroy. It was because he was a white guy. So he was auditioning for, but he was for auditioning for a part in that movie. But he was like, I'm sitting down and I'm just like, every line, he goes, I just start like firing them off. He goes, and the girl looked at him and was like, you've seen this? He goes, I swear to God, I've never seen this movie in my life, and I don't understand why I know every line that's happening. He goes, and then it occurred to him, he's like, that's the movie that he auditioned for. Freaking hilarious.
That's an A-list movie of mine. I love that movie.
I mean, depending on your age,
yeah,
that's what life is. Like when people talk about music now, right? And, oh, music now sucks or whatever. It's like, okay, you're saying that because you're old. You're not in the. I think music, depending, usually like around age 12 to in your teens that's when it, for some reason, it really hits you.
Yeah.
So for me, there's certain music that I'm like, oh, this music is great because I was that age when it came out and it just stuck with me. Yes, nostalgic. And that's just how it is. So there's kids now that are listening to the stuff now that in the future are going to be like, no, this sucks. This was real music. And they're just going to name all the artists that are out now. That's just how it was. When I was young, older people would be like, this music sucks. You know what's real good music? And they'd name all the crap that they grew up with.
Yeah.
That's just how, but that's how it is with movies too. So there's movies that I'll see and be like, that movie, I'll give you a perfect example. I saw Beetlejuice the other day with my kids. I'm like, this movie is terrible. This movie sucks. It's stupid. It's cheesy. I forgot half the movie. But when I was little, I remember at the time, I'm like, man, I thought this movie was awesome back then because
the first or the new one?
The first one.
Oh, really? Oh.
The first one.
Okay.
Because the first one came out when I was like, I don't know, 12.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was like, this is fantastic. Now I went back to, I saw with my kids last weekend, and I'm like, the CGI sucks.
Yeah.
The acting sucks. The premise of the movie sucks. He's in the movie for like 10 minutes. Have you seen the first Beetlejuice?
Of course. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I like it for that because it's nostalgic.
Yeah, see,
I'm not saying it's a perfect
film. It's like a campy movie.
Yeah, it's Tim Burton.
I thought it was like a legit film when that was my memory of it.
No, it's a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah,
it's extremely camp. Yeah.
Yeah, but after re-seeing it as an adult, I'm like, this sucks. And there's been other movies too that I've seen that at the time I thought they were awesome.
Yeah.
And now I re-see them as an adult, and I'm like, what was wrong with me? This movie's
not you though, but I hate people that don't know how to differentiate the two, whether it's music or movies or whatever. Like, you can like something that was from back in the day or whatever, and it could be cheesy, it could be corny, it could not be. It's not like an Oscar award-winning, world-respected film. You can still love it and enjoy it. Like, there's many examples of that. Music too, like. I hate the people that are like, oh, I'm like, you used to love that when you were younger. Yeah, but then I rewatch it now. I can't believe I used to like things like that. I'm like, who cares? Like, just enjoy it. Like, go. I love, do you remember that era? Like 2007, 2013, those action movies, like all the G.I. Joe movies,
the Michael Bay stuff,
Michael Bay, I love I love Transformers, but like the G.I. Joe movies, the Transformers movies, I don't know off the top of my head, Ghost Rider, like the old
yeah.
In reality, are they great films? I mean, we can sit here and argue how I think Transformers really impacted Hollywood, but anyways, I really no, but like they're fun. Go, sit down, watch some things blow up, watch some fight sequences, hear a Linkin Park song you haven't heard in years, and enjoy yourself.
Well, it's the type of movie that it is. It's like if you go in there and you're expecting like some...
The Godfather.
Like unbelievable monologues.
Yeah.
And all. No, it's a movie about freaking, at the end of the day, robots.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw the Transformers 1 movie.
Oh,
fantastic.
I want to see it, yeah.
Fantastic. I went in there with my son. I thought I was like, I'll probably fall asleep because I really don't know the I know the Transformers, but
You don't know the lore.
Yes, I don't know like the backstory. I'm like
Cybertron, yeah.
like what happened? I just know they came here to Earth and they were fighting good guys versus bad guys. It got into like that.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
I heard it's good.
Yeah, very well done.
And I'm excited to see that one. But yeah, no, it's like to switch onto the topic of music, and you can out of anyone, you can jump into this because you know what it's about. But I think let's take like the 70s for example, where like kind of rock and roll really started to like be on the come up. It was kind of before it was hair metal, you know, like Metallica or like whatever. It was kind of like, I don't want to say folk rock, but it was like Rolling Stones, you know what I mean? Kind of like.
And then it evolved.
And then it evolved in the 80s. We had more pop rock, heavy metal, and then, you know, like things take course. And then in the 90s, it was like grunge and like, you know, like punk. And then in 2000s, like punk rock, alternative. So like things transition and change over time.
Right.
You might like the 80s or 70s version of it because, you know, like you said, you were a kid or you were a teenager and it's nostalgic or whatever, and your child or whoever might like the 90s or the Y2K version because same for them. Art is subjective. It's, you know, how you interpret it.
Right.
You could like something and say, wow, that's my style. I like it. Doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it's good.
Okay.
Unless you and me are both critics and we analyze certain things, then we can say that's a horrible movie. That's
doesn't even matter.
Song.
Critics can kiss my butt too, because you can't say you could say it's a horrible movie because it's a period piece, and they, you know, that whatever that particular thing didn't come out until 1995. So how could it have existed in 1910? That's one thing. But at the end of the day, if somebody watches a movie and they think that was good or that was bad, you can't argue into them into saying no. You think it's bad, but it was good, or vice versa. You think it's good, but it was bad.
Do you have something that when you like song or film or whatever, that when you heard it or when you saw it, it like struck you, were like, oh, like you watched it and you saw it. Like for example, me and all my friends teased me about this one. We went to go see Infinity War. It's the scene where Wanda and Vision are like running away from Thanos' two like minions. Yeah. And you know they like stabbed Vision and Wanda's grabbing him. There's this one part. It's like 2 seconds. But that I remember being in the theater and I'm like, oh, this isn't just another Avengers movie. Like they're really taking it up with the directional things or whatever. It's a scene where like she grabs Vision, and rewatch it back. She grabs Vision and she's flying up with him, and then they shoot them out of the sky and they fall into the train. When they shoot her, this like dramatic, violent thing plays. Like the girl shoots Wanda, and it's like dun dun dun, dun, and like Wanda and Vision crash into the train station and everything. I remember being in the theater. I was like, whoa! I was like,
oh wow!
I was like, oh wow! This is we're really striking emotion over here during this film. It's little things like that.
I love.
Do you get what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Do you have one that comes up to mind?
God, I'm trying to think. Well, one of my favorite movies of all time is Saving Private Ryan, and that I love that movie for so many reasons. But I think because the way it started with straight up action, but before when they stormed the beach at Normandy, you've seen the movie?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
Never seen it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Fantastic movie, but it starts literally with they're storming the beach in Normandy.
I've seen that clip, yeah.
But you got the soldiers in the not the boat, but it's like it's completely covered and
then the thing opens.
And the thing opens up. But as that's coming up, it's just kind of like going through I'm gonna say the room, the area they're in, and one dude just throws up. And right there, I was like, oh, this is real. Because you always think, you know, you have this, like, unless you've been in the military or something like that, you always have this, like, everybody's like, we're gonna freaking destroy them. Take that. Yeah. And it's like, oh, no. There are dudes who are just like, I don't want to be here. Yeah. I'm nervous. I know I'm going to die type of situation. And just that movie hooked me from that scene when the dude, like, throws up a little bit. Freaking. And then there's another scene in the movie, too, where, you know, they storm the beach. Tom Hanks is trying to shout instructions and stuff, and he yells something to the guy next to him.
And he gets like shot, right?
And and he like then he goes back for something. He goes back to relay the information. No face. The guy has no face.
I've seen that whole sequence.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Little things like that. There's another movie, another one of my favorite movies. It's so random. It's a Nicolas Cage movie. It's called The Family Man.
Okay, I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No.
Okay, it's so good because it puts a twist on almost like an Ebenezer Scrooge type of thing. So he's this like millionaire Wall Street single playboy, right? But so when he was younger, he had a girlfriend, and he had this chance to have an internship in Italy or France, somewhere overseas for a big company. And as he was going to leave, she's like, don't leave. You know, what if something happens between us? And he's like, nothing's going to happen between us. Don't worry. We're always going to be together. They show that scene real quick. Boom. Fast forward. They didn't make it. But he's crazy successful. Crazy successful. So long story short, he ends up getting a glimpse of what his life would have been like if he was with the girl. And it's a mundane... He's a family man. It's him, it's her. They have a couple kids. He works at a tire shop that her dad owns.
Wow.
It's pretty routine. But as the movie goes on, he realizes that, like, that's the life he wants. Because of, like, all these little...
I like that.
Oh, my God. It's so good. And it's all because of, like, little things that you don't think about until, like, later on. Little subtle things that they show. Like, they don't... show them it doesn't. It's not like they show them having like this great life and like he's like, oh my God, this is great. I love, you know, waking up with her every day. Like, you know, having somebody here. No, they fight. They have money issues.
You said The Family Man, right?
Yeah, Family Man. Nicolas Cage. Fantastic movie. But you know, at the end, he realizes he's like, that's the life I want. So then he goes back to being rich guy. He tries to contact her. She's about to fly to Paris because she becomes like this big lawyer. And she's going to go work at the firm or whatever. He catches her at the airport. And I can't do it now because I haven't seen the movie in a while. I'll start watching it for the holiday season because it's one of my Christmas movies. But he recites to her basically like she you know, he's like, hey, just please, let's go have coffee or whatever. Let's just talk. And she's like, no, you know what? I really got to go catch this flight, but if you ever come to Paris, look me up. She's about to get on the plane, and all of a sudden he just starts reciting their life to her. But he doesn't like recite anything like, it's amazing. He goes, we have a house in Jersey. We have 2 kids. One of them's a little bit whatever, but it's okay. You're a nonprofit lawyer. I work at your dad's tire shop, but we own a house. Well, we you know, in 22 years, we're going to finish making the payments. Like he just recites like a mundane life to her. But as he's doing it, you see her eyes like lighting up because of the way he's saying it. And it just ends with them 2 having coffee. She doesn't go on the plane. It's such...
I just added it to my watch list.
Add that one and...
Saving Private Ryan. That's already on my watch list.
Saving Private Ryan.
That's already on my watch list.
Saving Private Ryan is a phenomenal... war. I don't know if it depicts war the way like a soldier would say it depicts war, but for me it was like the most realistic depiction of war.
So from knowing you for a little bit now, I can tell you like art or film or music that I think you like, not relatable but not realistic because I don't want to make it sound boring because it's not. But you I can tell you enjoy things that you're like that. That could have happened to me. That could have happened to you. That could have happened to anyone.
It's yes. Like I think everyone watches stuff differently, but mine is like when you lose, like when you suspend disbelief. Mine is like you almost like suck me into it. Like, what would I do if I was there?
Yeah.
How would I react? When it brings me like that, I freaking love that.
See, I need dramatic like fantasy, big imagination, other world setting, but that hones in on like relatable things.
Yeah.
I need things like that. That's how my brain ticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When things get a little too simple, it's a little too like realistic. I can't watch it.
Yeah.
I get a little scared. I'm like, okay, that's a little too real. Like Truman Show. That's a good blend, I think, of our 2 styles.
Yeah,
Truman
that
Show.
movie. There are times just in life where I like randomly will go like,
you try and find the camera. You're like,
oh yeah, where I'm like, am I the main character in like this?
like, where's the camera?
Sometimes random things happen where you're like, what are the odds that would happen to me? Like people have to conspire. Everyone.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
That was a great concept for a movie. All right, we got to continue this conversation another time
do.
because I gotta go. We're gonna go have lunch with Leroy for Leroy's birthday.
This was a fun one.
So it was a fun one.
Quick one, fun one.
And we gotta continue the conversation.
Tell everyone who's next week.
Christine Souter from Why Not Devon. So really cool story. Well, let me take that back. Not a cool story. Her story is her 6-year-old, I believe he was 6, he passed away from a brain tumor. And so now she does like a lot of charity stuff for him and for the foundation. But it's an interesting story of like, how, when it first happened. And actually the story of how her and I connected. It's a random, everything happens for a reason.
Is that a Truman Show moment?
Honestly, dude, the things that had to have happened for her and I to connect, there were just so many random things that happened that I'm a big believer. Like right now, I'm going to be late for this lunch with Leroy. It's for a reason. There's a reason that you and I are talking a little bit extra right now. I don't know when it'll come out, but there is. Maybe right now a car accident's happening that I'm avoiding or that you're avoiding, I'm trying to tell you, like, because all the little pieces that came together for her and I to connect, crazy. So anyway, that's next week. Thank you for listening. If you have any ideas for guests or anything like that, what's the email?
PassionProjectRamiro@gmail.com.
PassionProjectRamiro@gmail.com.
Linked on all of our social medias.
Yes, and Moose will be the one that answers that clearly. Thank you, everybody.